When I was 11 years old, I was catfished by a 30-year-old woman on the internet who was pretending to be a 7-year-old who was dying of cancer. I wish I was making this up. I used to Skype with a lot of the friends I made on YouTube and on the internet, and one of them was my really good friend at the time, Stephanie. I don't remember exactly how Stephanie met this girl, but it was through some Facebook groups. She used to reach out to families with kids in the hospital and like give them gifts, and I met her through Stephanie. Something like that. So I'm going to tell you this story as if you don't know where it's going. So I'm just going to tell you it from how I saw it. So as far as we knew, we were speaking to a little girl named Kyrie who was from Ireland, who was sick in the hospital with cancer. And when she would talk to us on Skype, she sounded like a child. Her voice sounded like she was 7. She would Skype us from the hospital and she would update us all the time. We would get daily messages on updates on her treatment. She would tell us when she was going in for chemotherapy, when she was going in for radiation, all this stuff. And she also had her mom who would come on Skype and talk to us as well. And nothing really looked shady. Like, she had a Facebook page, there was a donation page. Every single family member that she mentioned had a Facebook page. Mom, dad, grandma, sister, like everyone was accounted for, you know? There was only really one big red flag, and that was that she would never turn her camera on. She never went on video. And we did think it was weird, but then again, we were like children, so it wasn't as big of a deal as it would be to me now. There were instances that we asked why she never went on camera, and her mom, quote unquote, would tell us it's because she was in radiation or sick. Like, there was always a little excuse, and we felt weird questioning it. This escalated to the point that we were sending her gifts and money. We would mail her like care packages of toys and blankets and things a 7-year-old would like. Sometimes we would get really scary messages that would make us all cry and panic from her mom on Skype that would tell us that she's not doing well and they don't know if she's gonna make it. This went on for probably 2 years, right? And then one day, I don't remember what happened, but my friend Stephanie and I were looking at a photo of Kyrie in the hospital. And I don't know what compelled us to do this, but one of us was like, zoom in on her bracelet, her hospital bracelet. And when we looked at the bracelet did not say Kyrie. The bracelet said Megan. And we were like, that's a little strange. So we searched the name that we saw on the bracelet on Facebook, and this is when all the pieces start to fall together, because we find a real little girl named Megan who has cancer, who has a whole Facebook page. And then it hits us. Whoever we have been speaking to has been putting on a fake persona under the name of Kyrie and using this little girl's photos and speaking to us in a baby voice. At this point, we had no idea if it was a child or an adult or like what was going on. We messaged the mom of the real little girl and she starts freaking out. She confirms that it was not her, it was not her daughter, no one in their family was involved in this. And then she's the one that actually figured out who was behind it. And it was the babysitter. A 30-year-old woman had been putting on a baby voice, coming on a call with a bunch of kids and pretending to be a sick little girl to get gifts and money. This was the girl's babysitter. Like, she had unlimited access to photos of the little girl, photos of the family, things to make it seem more legit. But none of what she was doing, none of the money and the gifts she got actually went to the little girl. So where did they go? And like, how sick of an individual do you have to be in the brain to like do that? What's wrong with you, love? Something, that's for sure. If it couldn't possibly get worse, her name was Karen.
Now that I no longer work at my old job, I want to do a story time on a very famous rapper who tried to ruin my career and ruin my life. I worked at a department store, men's designer specifically, and I was commission based. I was working one day when a man approached me asking for help picking out a jacket for his music video. He was very nice. We ended up picking him a green Bottega jacket, most beautiful jacket I've ever seen. It was about $6,000. He bought it, he left. My coworker came up to me and was like, do you know who that is? I said, no. They showed me his Instagram and I ended up following him. He had a lot of followers. I'm like, this is gonna be cool. He's shooting a music video on this. I would love to see that. It's great. So he ends up shooting the video. The jacket looked amazing. The video was cool, good song, good energy. Yeah, awesome. Well, not awesome. A week later, I see him walk in with his girlfriend, baby mama now. She was starring in a very big, well-known Disney movie at the time, so she was very popular at this time. Well, they wanted to return the jacket. I had to tell them, no, you cannot do that. It was not fun. We ended up going back and forth over this, and I had to tell him 3 reasons I could not return this jacket. The first reason was it was smelling like cologne, very strong cologne scent. The second reason, it smelled a lot like smoke, and neither of these reasons were good enough for either of them. They were going back and forth. I told him that it's worn. The third reason, it was worn. He looked at me and he said, you cannot prove that. And I said, actually, I can. And I pulled out my phone, pulled out the video, and I said, this you? He was speechless. He was speechless, and his girlfriend did not like that. She said, this is extremely unprofessional. this is something that you do to all of your clients, like just very, very livid. And I explained to her, you guys are public figures, very well known. He told me he was shooting a music video. This is a public video posted on YouTube. Yes, I saw it. Yes, I pulled it up because I am commission based. I know it was worn. I cannot take back this jacket. It is a $6,000 jacket. It is against our return policy. I am not able to accept this. I could get in trouble. I'm very sorry. Explained it to her many times, explained it to him. It was just getting very heated. It created a scene. 3 of my coworkers started coming, trying to defend me. It was not going down. It was getting worse and worse. My manager stepped in, helping me, and I actually said, I'm going to remove myself. I did not feel comfortable anymore. It was not heading into any direction that I wanted to be a part of. So my assistant manager stood there, and I told him, I'm going to remove myself. If my assistant manager would like to return this, he is absolutely welcome to. I personally cannot take back this return because I can get in trouble. It is a very expensive jacket. It's worn. It smells worn. I can't. I am so sorry, but this is policy. They ended up leaving. My manager said no, he had my back. They went to different departments, tried to return it. It was denied all over the store. They ended up winning. It sucks, but they went to a different location and returned it. It's fine. I expected it to be returned, just not by me. I didn't care because I did not want to get in trouble. I did not want to take the heat for that. It's a big no-no to return designer stuff. I guess that wasn't enough for him because he took to his social media to post the receipt of this jacket. And with the receipt, he wrote a very crazy message. With this receipt, it showed my first name, the first initial of my last name, where I worked, the address of where I worked in the department. And in that photo, he said my first name, all of that information, and said I was racist and I called him the N-word with a hard R. I did not do this. I had 3 coworkers there, 2 of which were black, my assistant manager, and if I had done this, I would have been immediately fired. I worked a year after that. The store manager ended up apologizing to me for what he put me through. It created a month of harassment. 1 month of his fan base, to his millions of followers, going to social media, to Yelp, to Instagram, to TikTok, calling me racist. They started showing up at the store in groups looking for me. It was very scary. They started calling the phones, and if I answered, I was being cussed at, yelled at, threatened. I had to be walked to my car when I left because like the groups would be kicked out and they'd still be waiting. They found my social media, and it did not die down for a month, and maybe over a month. It was very damaging, and I thought it was insane behavior because you are abusing your platform to try and ruin somebody's life who is just doing their job. I thought that was the craziest, most erratic thing in the entire world. It turns out that they ended up doing this to somebody else. The girlfriend's sister and him, the rapper, ended up going to a nail salon and doing something very similar and calling this lady racist, but she ended up telling her side of the story, and they were called out for it very publicly. I can't get over this because they came in with an AP watch, Disney money, fighting me, wanting to return a jacket. I am just doing my job. I cannot take this jacket back. Like, it's my job, and you're trying to ruin my life and say very damaging, real accusations for what? Over a jacket you ended up winning. Like, why are you trying to ruin my life, my career? Like, that's sick behavior. That is crazy, and I think it's crazy that he has such a big platform to this day that he's able to do that, and that they will probably do this again. Yeah, so that was a fun time in my life. I'm fine. Working in a department store, it was never a dull moment. Yeah.
There's a new little scam going around and I need to tell you guys about it so you also don't get bamboozled. So I'm browsing around Target, minding my own business, and a girl comes up to me and says that she likes my glasses, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. She's asking me where I got them from, and I tell her, I pull it up on my phone. She looks about my age, maybe a little bit older, so we just start chatting about college and what did you study and how I just moved here, and we're just talking about normal things that you would talk about with someone that is your age. And she starts asking me what I do for work. I'm like, oh, I don't really work right now. out and she's telling me about how she works as like a project manager for like architecture, and I'm like, oh, I love interior design, and we're just chatting. There's other people around and I don't feel unsafe by any means. It seemed like a genuine conversation that you would just have with someone that's your age, and I was like, oh, I think am I making a friend right now? Like, what? And then she starts telling me about how she does like e-commerce on the side. Like, oh, that's cool. And she has these friends who are like retired at like 28. It doesn't seem weird because it's like we've been talking for multiple minutes, so it seems like we're just genuinely having a conversation. She tells me about how her friends are like helping her become financially free and like student debt sucks, and I'm like, yeah, and I start getting like a little bit confused. It doesn't really go too far into it, and then we start kind of talking about something else, and then she ends up taking my number and we're like, yeah, we should get coffee sometime soon. I walk away from the conversation like kind of thinking that was strange, but not as strange as it really was. She goes on her merry way, I go on mine, and then an hour passes by and I never see her in the store again, but I'm in like the skincare beauty section of Target, and another girl approaches me and says that she likes my glasses. And I would have thought that that was weird because that's exactly what the first girl said, but in between seeing this first girl and the second girl, like 3 different people had said that they liked my glasses, and I wear really chunky frames that are a little unique, so like it's not uncommon for someone to say that. So I say thank you, and then she starts talking to me about school and what I studied and what she's currently studying in school. And again, it's another girl that's around my age. And we start talking about work, and she's telling me how she doesn't want to work for the rest of her life or like work for someone else for the rest of her life. And she actually has these friends who are retired and financially free by like the age of 28. I'm like, oh, cool. Realizing that she's like telling me kind of the same story that this girl was. She starts saying that those friends are helping her get financially free. If I was interested, she would love to connect me with them and we can talk about financial advisory and stuff like that. Like financial advisory like tied to e-commerce. Like I do not know. And the second girl seemed a lot less comfortable with talking and just nervous and kind of like she didn't really want to be doing it, which I thought was weird. I'm really bad about saying no. Like either one of these girls probably could have had me in a conversation with them for well over 2 hours. Luckily, my boyfriend called me, so I got out of that conversation and she didn't get my contact information. But then the following day, the first girl that I saw at Target texted me and asked me to like meet for coffee sometime soon and just talk about the ability to be financially free. And I'm like, oh my God, I knew this bitch was a scammer. Like, and I'm in a couple of Facebook groups for like girls in my area, and I saw someone post that there's a new scam going around Target of these girls basically complimenting you and then dragging you into this conversation about like e-commerce. And like, I knew it. This was so fucking weird. After I talked to the first girl, I genuinely thought like, oh my gosh, I think I made my first friend. And then once the second girl approached me, I was like, oh, okay, I understand what is going on. To this day, I still don't understand this scam. Like, I don't understand what exactly they're doing. I don't know if they were trafficked to do it or if they were trying to traffic me to do it. I have no idea. But if someone compliments you at Target, someone young, just say thank you and keep on walking.
If you have an iPhone and you've ever wondered what happens when you activate your SOS and you don't turn it off quick enough, I can tell you because it happened to me last night. Normal night, my boyfriend and I go to sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night because I have to pee. If I wake up in the middle of the night and have to use the bathroom, when I come back into our room, I always tap my phone screen to see what time it is, and then I get back in bed, and my cat jumps up, and we all cuddle, and we go back to dreamy dreamland. Not last night, because I tapped my phone screen, and the screen wouldn't come on. Now, I do real estate, I do Mary Kay, I do Instacart, and I do DoorDash. I need my phone. I'm starting to panic that I'm going to end up having to, be at Verizon first thing in the morning. It's always something. It's always something. So I'm tapping the screen, clicking the buttons on the side of my phone. So if you have an iPhone, one of the features is that if you click the side button, not the volume buttons, but the other one, 5 times, it activates your SOS. And that's what I did. And because my screen wasn't working, I couldn't turn it off. My boyfriend wakes up and rolls over and he's like, what's happening? Are you okay? And I'm like, no, my phone screen's not working. And I think I just activated my SOS. Well, then my phone starts buzzing, vibrating as if somebody was calling me. So I thought, my God, I activated 911 and they're calling me back and I can't answer it. The police are going to show up at my house at 3:30 in the morning because I can't answer my phone. It's just getting worse and worse. So I tell my boyfriend, I'm like, I need your phone because I need to text our family message. We have like this big group message. I need to text everyone and let them know there's no emergency here. I just wanted to check the time, and out of frustration, I kept clicking buttons and I should have remained calm. So he gets his phone and he's like, I just got the SOS message. I'm like, oh my God. But my phone is continuing to go off as if somebody's calling me. I can feel it vibrating. So I'm trying to like slide to answer just to see if that would work. No, it didn't work. Trying to type on his phone as quick as possible. No hate to Android users, but I can't stand Androids. I feel like you have to press the screen so hard to type, and I'm used to my iPhone where I can just be like, quickly, I don't know. And I'm trying to type on his phone and I couldn't type it quick enough. My sister calls him and I accidentally hit the decline button. I told you it gets worse. I give him his phone back and I'm like, get your stupid Android out of here. Call my sister back. He calls my sister back and she's like, what's going on? Is everything okay? And I'm like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I just had to pee. I just wanted to check my phone and check the time and go back to bed. But my phone screen's not working, so I was clicking buttons and I activated my SOS. As I was on the phone with her, my screen started working again. Bro, do you not realize the major chaos that you just created at 3:30 in the morning? Since my phone's working again, I text the family message quickly and I'm like, hey fam, no emergency. Here's what happened. Short, sweet, and to the point. So I checked my call log and obviously it had activated 911 and my local Department of Emergency Services tried to call me back, but I couldn't answer it. Why? Because my phone screen wasn't working. I called back the number, like, everything's fine. Here's my name, my address. I literally told her what happened and she's like, no emergency, everything's good. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, okay, have a great night. So I go back upstairs. Of course I couldn't fall back to sleep because what a shit show. So I scrolled TikTok for like an hour and a half before I was able to fall back to sleep. That's what happens when you activate SOS and you don't turn it off. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Okay, I keep trying to make this video, but I keep going on like a long rant about things and it goes way too long, but I'm gonna try to condense this down. Okay, so I did a Million Lives Book Festival yesterday and today, okay? So Friday and Saturday. I took a day off work even to do this. And it was the shittiest event I've ever done. It was the shittiest I've ever like done in terms of book sales. It was the shittiest event I've ever been to. It felt like Firefest of book festivals. That's what it like advertises something really awesome and the actual execution of it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. We were told there was going to be like there has been over like 600 some tickets sold. I did not see those people. There were more authors at their booths than there were attendees. And I'm not exaggerating. It was that bad. All right. It went a full day yesterday, till 5 o'clock yesterday. Right up until people were starting to arrive across the street for an O's game. So that was fun, trying to get out of the city during that. And today ended at 3 o'clock on a Saturday because they were putting on a ball. Which apparently was in the same hall on a concrete floor. And people paid actual money to go to it. Apparently it was like the saddest thing. Completely not what was advertised. At every point of the last 2 days, everything was like fucked up. Not delivered on. Or just half-assed. There was no water there. Even the vending machine at the top of the stairs, because by the way, we were in the basement exhibit hall, had no water. Okay. There was no swag bags for people who paid to go to this. There's no badges or wristbands. And I didn't, like, I had an assigned table. And I show up and they're like, oh, there was an issue with seating, just pick an open table. Of which there were tons. When I picked my table, there was still one next to me that was open. And from where I sat, I could see 4 open tables. Just from where I sat. I have never done so poorly in an event before. Ever. I've been doing this for years now. Just last week, I was in Baltimore. 2 blocks from the convention center doing Dreaming Dirty in Maryland. And now it's a 4-hour event. And I sold 3 times as many books as I did over 2 days at A Million Lives. Now I could keep going. I could keep ranting. And I've done this. I've recorded this so many times, just absolutely ranting, going on for 10 minutes straight about how bad this was. So let me just say, this event was a scam. It was Firefest. And I cannot recommend this event to anybody. To people who paid money to attend this thing, I'm so sorry. Because I feel fucking cheated. I didn't make table. I have never, in my career as an author, ever failed to make table. I barely made enough to cover my fucking parking for 2 days. Because it was expensive as hell. Especially for Baltimore. Jesus Christ, I spent less money parking in DC over 3 days at Awesome Connor last month. Yeah. So, I'm not feeling very happy, obviously. No, that's an understatement. I'm fucking pissed off. That was my time. That was my money. And I got ripped off. Okay? Not only did I pay for a table, pay to get money to get all my books I needed for this, but I also took a day off work. Alright, I don't have unlimited PTO. I have limited amount of days. So I burned a day of my PTO that I could have been using for family things instead to go sit at a fucking table from 10 to 5. And I got more reading done than I did actually selling books or even talking to people. Because there was nobody there. The only people there were the other authors. That's all. And even today, there was barely any more people. Straight up yesterday, I sold 3 books. 3. And 2 of those were to other authors. I sold more than that at my town's farmer's market last year, where I didn't have copies of my first book because I didn't order in time. Because I did an event and sold out back, and not realizing it was going to go that quickly. Yeah, and I did that only for 2 hours. Because it was August and hot as hell. And I still did better than I did first day at this event. There is no way to not feel like this wasn't a scam. Because it was. Where the money went from people paying table fees and people buying tickets, I don't know where that went. Because it sure as fuck wasn't in actually putting it together a good event. And there... Especially for a first year, trying to put it in a large exhibit hall in a convention center on a Friday, like all day Friday, was the stupidest fucking idea I've ever heard of. I honestly don't know what I'm more pissed about. How much money I lost doing this. How much time was wasted doing this. Lost PTO. All of it, honestly. I would never recommend this event ever. I can't. Because it's a scam. This is Firefest. And that's all I can say about it. It's Firefest. And I don't like saying things about events. I know, like, events have been slow, and that's been happening a lot all year, and I've noticed this trend for obvious reasons. This was not one of those obvious reasons why. This was clearly poor management and poor planning and poor execution. This entire event was a complete failure. I will not be coming back to this event, if this event even exists, because honestly, I don't see it happening again next year, because it was that bad. And I don't think anybody would put money into this again. So that is what it is. I am going to go, I don't know. I'm just so mad and flustered, and I told myself I was going to make this shorter video, and it didn't happen, because that's how pissed off I am about this, and how this is my cautionary tale to you, and that do not ever do this event, go to this event, because you'll be ripped off. Straight up, you're going to be ripped off. This was a ripoff. This was a scam. This was Firefest. So that's all I got.
Okay, so I used to work backstage at concerts in the artist dressing rooms, and I never signed an NDA, so I can spill all the tea. This video is about one show in particular and one specific artist who was a pain in the ass to deal with. And I got a lot of requests for this one, so anyways, without further ado, this is about Miss Nicki Minaj. So this show specifically was at an arena, and the show itself was like really undersold. Like a lot of the shows that I work are like sold out, and hers was undersold. I think there was like a flash sale the day of, like to get a ticket for like $10. That's how undersold it was. I think that the arena's capacity was like 20 something thousand, and she only sold like 6,000 tickets. But anyways, that's not the point of the story. First of all, because I handle the dressing rooms, I have to do everything from like designing it like in a style that they request in advance. I have to do all the shopping to get all of the things that she requests, like food, drink wise. Her list was extensive. I wish I probably still have it somewhere, but it was extensive. But I managed to, get it all done, make it all happen for her. And at this show in particular, her opening act, she had like 3 opening acts for whatever reason. And they were Tyga, Bia, who's like I got a whole lot of money in this mother. And I don't even remember what the other one's name was. But anyways, I handled Nicki's dressing room, and I also handled Bia's and Tyga's. I want to say I was in Tyga's. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The show started at like 8, and obviously the opening acts come on first. Some artists come to the venue and they're there all day. Like they're there breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the way up until the show. Nicki wasn't even there when the show started. Like her opening acts were already going on and she's not even there. I was getting word that she was still in Miami and was like stuck in waiting for a flight to take off. I don't know, whatever. I was just hearing through the grapevine from security and her management company, she's in Miami and she needs to get to North Carolina ASAP because her show is going on. So that was the first red flag. Another nightmare about this show was Bia had requested chocolate covered strawberries, but I guess they forgot to request that they needed to be milk chocolate or not dark chocolate, whatever. So I brought them the wrong ones, and the manager pulled me outside the dressing room and said, she cannot see these. She cannot see these at all. And he gave me his Amex and said, just make it happen. Go find these chocolate covered strawberries. And I'm like, oh my God, it's nighttime. Where am I going to find them? So I had to make them. I didn't even know how to make chocolate covered strawberries. Somebody's showing me how to jerry rig chocolate covered strawberries in the back of a arena. So Tyga, Bia, they all go on. And at this point, Nicki is still not here. She is still not there. And it's getting to be 10, 11 o'clock. It's a Tuesday night. Mind you, we all have to stay until the show is over to clean up the dressing rooms when they're done partying at the end. But anyways, Nicki finally arrives with a barricade. I want to say she had a police escort or something. I don't remember exactly. But what I do remember was her head of security screaming at the top of his lungs at all of us. Basically, every backstage employee was told, get out of sight. Basically Nicki did not want to see any of the workers. And I know there was a lot of beef going on with like Megan Thee Stallion, or I don't know what was going on in her personal life, but essentially she did not want us workers to see her. So I hid behind a bush, and it's pitch black. It's like 11 o'clock at night. She's already supposed to be on. And I'm hiding behind a stage, and I can see her like coming in on a golf cart with a wig on or whatever. But I guess she's too cool to be seen by any of the workers or whatever. And which is really uncommon in this industry, because usually the artists are really nice and down to earth. This was one of a few of the artists that I've had that are extremely difficult to work with, but I had already heard that about her. Then at that point, they made security backstage extremely closed off. They put like tarp up so that like you couldn't get backstage unless you had a certain backstage pass, which I did have, by the way. But they still like, they would like every 10 feet that you would move, there'd be another barrier to like get through another security person. And I was like, oh my God, it's not that deep. You didn't even sell half the arena. And because I work in the industry, we get to see every show for free, you know, like the side of the stage or wherever we want, really. That's like not completely off limits. Like I can't go on the stage. But I had a talk with her head of security, I don't remember his name, and basically said like, hey, let me see the show. Another little tidbit is I actually had my ex work that show with me because he wanted to see Nikki. So I brought him in, and so it was a little awkward, like, and embarrassing to show him like, okay, like, hey, this isn't how the shows typically go. Artists are a lot nicer, and we usually don't have to turn all the lights off backstage and hide from the artist like that. I've never heard of that in my entire life. So yeah, she was a pain to work with, and she basically wasted pretty much everything that we put into her dressing room because it all had to go like in the trash.
Y'all, I'm so fucking pissed off right now. Let me tell y'all, I've been married 8 days and I'm about ready to get a fucking divorce. So, we got married last Saturday, and I took a week of vacation. I had a lot to do, and my husband, he was pretty much off work too most of those days. And every year his company takes them on a cruise. You know, great, happy for you, go have fun. He left for his cruise on Thursday. And me, I had to go back to work. And, you know, I'll admit, I was a little jelly, you know, a little upset that he gets to go on this free vacation right after our wedding, and I have to stay here and go back and work my job. I work 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Sometimes I have to work 6-7 days in a row. You know, I work a lot, and he gets to go on this vacation, so he basically gets 2 weeks off work. And I'll tell you, it has been really hard to go back to work after having such an amazing weekend. My wedding was perfect. I haven't had the chance to get on here and talk about it yet, just because I've been working. So he goes on a cruise every year, and today he texts me at like 1 o'clock, because he got like the internet package to use the internet on the ship. He texts me at like 1 o'clock and says that, you know, he'll call me whenever I get the chance, because, you know, I'm at work, that he'll call me whenever he gets a chance, and blah, blah, blah. When I talked to him this morning, he said he wasn't going to drink a lot today because they get off the ship tomorrow. He wasn't going to drink a lot today. He wanted to be sober. He didn't want to be hungover. And they were going to be going to Mexico today. He was going to get off and go do some stuff and get back on the ship and eat and have a few drinks on the ship, because there was not going to be anybody on the ship. There wasn't going to be long lines. It wasn't going to be crowded. He was going to get to like relax and some peace and quiet and do whatever he wanted to do. And so he texts me like 1:30 and says, you know, let me know whenever you're not busy and I'll call you. And so I was like, okay, well, you can probably call me around 4:30. I'll text you when I'm doing my paperwork for the shift. And I text him, nothing. And so a little bit goes by, and I'm like, okay, starting to worry now, because even like he goes to his room periodically, and he usually will text me back, like, within an hour or so, you know, like, he don't ever wait a very long time to text me or call me back. And finally, I don't know, like 5-6 hours later, I get a text message from him saying, I'm okay. I had about 30 shots of tequila, and I'm probably going to come home with tattoos. And I texted one of the other wives to see if she had heard from any of the guys, to make sure they were okay, because by this time he should have already been back on the ship, and we have roaming, so he can text me and call me while he's like in Mexico. And so I don't know if he actually made it back onto the ship, because that's the last thing he said to me. And it's now 9:30 at night. And she sends me a picture of him with some random ass guy, and told me that they took off together. So he's running around in Mexico with some fucking stranger, had 30 shots of tequila, so probably has fucking alcohol poisoning. Hasn't texted me, called me, anything. So, like, I'm worried. I'm pissed. I'm fucking a little, like, jealous. Because when we go on trips, when we go do things, like, he doesn't have it in him. When we went to Cancun in January, he was sick one day. We couldn't do shit all fucking night. He can't walk around and do things with me because his leg starts hurting. He has, like, a pinched nerve, the sciatic nerve. So, like, I'm just fucking pissed that you can go run around, like, shit, let him take some shots with me, and he's gonna be in the bathroom throwing up, you know? And he's running around Mexico with some fucking stranger, taking 30 shots of fucking tequila, getting random ass fucking tattoos, doing God knows what, hasn't talked to me all fucking day. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. And I'm just fucking pissed. Like, I'm so fucking pissed, and I hope that he's having a great time right now, because that's the last fucking cruise he's going on.
So I need to see if this has happened to anybody else. This is kind of a little bit of a story time, but stick around because it just kind of keeps getting weird. So Saturday evening, we are just chilling at home, minding our own business. We get a knock at our door, and it's a Domino's order. We didn't order pizza. So my husband goes out there, and they say that they have a pizza for my teenage daughter. And we're like, did you order pizza? She knows better. She's like, no, I didn't. And he's like, okay, well, you know, I have this order for her and it's $26. And we're like, we didn't order this. And we're like, can you tell us what the phone number is on there? The phone number under her name and our address, the delivery guy calls, and it happens to be just a random car dealership that's nowhere near us. So he's like, this is a prank. Sorry. We're like, no, we're really sorry. We go on with our night. Or so we think. About maybe an hour and a half later, we get another knock on our door, and it's DoorDash. Another order for my teenage daughter, same one. And she's like, I didn't order food, Mom, I promise. So we tell them we didn't order food. We denied it and sent it away. Which, now that I'm kind of thinking of it, I really wish we would have looked into the details of that, because that probably would be able to maybe give us the most details out of any of these scenarios. And then Sunday afternoon, about 1, we get another knock on our door, and it's Domino's. Another pizza order for my daughter with the same phone number. I take a screenshot of take a picture, I should say, of the receipt, our address, her first and last name, which is different from ours because she has a different dad, and the phone number. I call the phone number, confirm it is a car dealership. I got a voicemail because it's a Sunday afternoon. So then I call Domino's and I explain the situation to them, because we don't want to be banned from this location, because we actually do order pizza from them occasionally, and we don't want that to happen. And they're like, oh yeah, no, we'll put a thing on your account that says like only you or your husband's name can be the ones for orders. And we're like, cool, that works for us. Perfect. Thank you so much. We're really sorry that this keeps happening. They're like, no worries. We go on with our day. Now this is where it kind of takes a weird turn. Monday morning, I am at work and I see that I have a missed phone call and a voicemail on my phone. I listen to the voicemail. It is a voicemail from somebody at the car dealership of the phone number that was being used over the weekend for the fake deliveries, asking for my husband and that he has inquired about a vehicle and to give her a call back so we can talk about it. What? So I call her back. I explain the situation to her. I ask her kind of some detailed questions, like how did they spell my husband's name? What's the last name? Etc. So then I explain to her the situation. She even agrees that this is just the weirdest freaking thing that she's ever heard. What had happened was she had received an online inquiry on cars.com under my husband's name with my phone number that he was inquiring about said vehicle. And she was just following up on this lead, which I had to decline to her that, we're not looking for a vehicle. We're really sorry. So now it's the point where it's kind of just wasting people's time and resources, and we're just kind of getting annoyed with it. I tell her the information, I give her the phone number, and she's like, you know what, we'll kind of look into this, see if there's anything on our end we can do. Maybe an email or something was attached to it that she can't see. We don't know. I don't think anything's going to come from it, but I'm grasping at straws here at this point, okay? And then again, last night, we get another pizza order in my daughter's name, same phone number. We tell the guy we're really sorry, explain the situation to him. He said he'll go back and talk to his manager. Now, I called Domino's again, and I explained the situation to them, letting them know we're not doing this. Like, we really don't want to be banned from your establishment. Like, is there a way? Like, I'm like, can I block my account? Can I cancel my account? Because I asked on Sunday, can orders only be placed in mine or my husband's name? They told me no problem. I was told yesterday that no, that's not possible. I give them like my phone number, which should already kind of be on the account because it's mine and my husband's, because our addresses, our names, etc. They say that they're going to write down my information and kind of watch for it. It is a really weird order, which is a really annoying order because apparently it is what is it? It's like an everything veggie pizza or an everything pizza with pretty much everything taken off. So it's kind of annoying to begin with, which at first I'm like, okay, this is a prank, obviously. But to get the car dealership involved too? What is going on? Has this ever happened to anybody else? Is this just a harmless prank? We're annoyed because we have 3 dogs that do not like visitors. We have 4. 3 large dogs that do not like visitors. Unwanted visitors. Unknowing visitors at our house. So it's getting really, really annoying. We have not shelled out any money because we've turned away the deliveries, but now it's the point where it's kind of just becoming a nuisance. It's using resources that people can't. It's using people's resource, the food, the delivery drivers, their time, a tip that they potentially were going to get and now they're not getting. I don't know. Does anybody have any advice what to do? I'm kind of at a loss here.
I just saw a girl post saying that if you are on Hailey Bieber's side, it's only because you've never had a Hailey Bieber in your life. She told her Hailey Bieber story, and now I have to tell you guys mine. It like unlocked this memory of mine that I had completely forgotten. Oh my God, you're not even gonna believe half of the crap that this girl did. So I go to college, okay? And I think that this girl, I don't know if she wanted to be my friend at first, and I really don't know what triggered for her to be like obsessed with me, because I really was like not ever really that cool. But anyway, I think she wanted to be my friend, and then maybe I just didn't respond maybe, and then eventually she just decided that she was going to become obsessed with like every single guy that I talk to and try to talk to them as well. And that is pretty much what she did. Like, not to get into every single instance because I would be here all day, but yeah, every guy that I ever flirted with, talked to, officially dated, even guys that I would literally be talking to at a party and she happened to be at the same party on more than one occasion, she would be standing across the room at the party and I would see an Instagram DM or a Snapchat come into their phone from her. On more than one occasion that happened. And on one of those situations, the guy actually showed me his Instagram messages and was like, hey, do you know who this girl is? And I could see that the message thread was, you know, that was the first message there, and he genuinely didn't even know who she was. On one of those other occasions too, it was literally a guy who was talking to me in the cafeteria at our school, and she was like, oh, gotta message him. Girl, what? And then yeah, so she tried to flirt with, or every guy that I ever talked to, some were successful, as you know, guys, and then one was like my boyfriend, for lack of a better term. We were never officially dating. That was like the most toxic situation I've ever encountered in my whole life. They did stuff behind my back for me and this guy's entire relationship, but me and this guy had a toxic relationship, and he did lots of stuff with other girls behind my back for our entire relationship. I've never been the type of girl that would go and attack the girl, you know, especially because deep down at the time I was like, I'm not leaving him, so I'm just gonna pretend this didn't happen. Obviously she had extenuating circumstances, but never ever did I ever confront this girl with anything, unless the few times that we did actually get into it personally, me and her, it was never over a guy. It was always that she said something about my friends, or said something about me or to me at a party or something. We never got into it over a guy. Like, I really don't know why she did this. Like, she wasn't even getting the attention from me that you would think somebody like that wants. Like, she wants me to be upset with her, and I pretty much just ignored her. Long story short, me and this guy break up, and I also decide I'm gonna move and go to a different college. So I literally moved to a different state, go to a different college, and I don't speak to anybody from my original college except for like 5 people, okay? And that's still true to this day. So, but at some point, this was so weird, and I wish that I had like the Snapchat messages or something. I don't. I wish I did, honestly. This would be so juicy. So at some point in the 1.5 years that I lived there, I was going to school, I was working, I was minding my own business, I was talking to other guys, whatever. She DMs me out of nowhere, and she's like, is so-and-so here? Is he here with you? Are you talking to so-and-so behind my back? And I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? Apparently, as soon as me and him like officially broke up and I moved away, they started dating officially, and had been together for a while. And without my knowledge, he flew to the state and city that I was in and had been there for 3 days already. And then she flew separately to come try to find him. And she was messaging me asking if he had been with me. And I was like, I didn't even know anything about this until right now when you DM'd me. And then when I told her that, she never messaged me back. And then for the next 3 days, they were on vacation together in that city and posting all over Instagram and Snapchat. So that's fun. And then, because we're not done, she's obsessed with me, guys. I'm thinking, I already thought I was done. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm really done. Like, that was really weird. You're weird. Eventually, I finished school and I want to move back to Texas to be near my family. I had a good job at the time. So, hey, big company, let me know if any jobs open up in this area of Texas. I would like to go home, but I want to have a job. So just let me know. And then like 3 months go by and I finally got a job transfer back to near my family. So I'm not even thinking, I'm not near like where I went to college. I'm not even really that close to my family. I'm just like back close enough, you know, that I can see my family. And I run into a different guy from college. This guy was a senior when I was a freshman, I think. We just didn't we never were really close in college. We just recognized each other because we ran in the same circles, basically. But we never talked in college. We were never like super close in college, whatever. We meet on the outside world randomly at a bar and we start talking. And we were kind of like seriously talking, and this guy happened to come from a family with a lot of money. This guy had a pilot's license and his own little small plane, multiple very nice vehicles, and this guy, like, their family was rich, okay? And this guy was very, like, showy with his money, I guess you would say. So on our very first date, he flew me somewhere, like, he was flying his little plane, flew me somewhere to dinner, and then flew us somewhere else for dessert. And while we were just talking, really, like, just getting to know each other for a couple of months, he let me drive one of his very expensive cars, because he's like, no, you're gonna roll with me with nice stuff if we're gonna be talking. I drove a Kia Soul at the time, so yeah, he let me drive his Audi. That was nice. Eventually me and him just didn't work out. We kind of amicably split. To be honest, he just wasn't really my type. I probably wasn't really his. I wasn't very enamored with these things, so whatever. We amicably split. Not even a month later, she's publicly posting him on Instagram like, ooh la la, we're dating. Was he talking to me, talking to her behind my back? Don't know, don't care, whatever. I didn't even care at the time. I was just like, of course. Of course. I mean, I never even hard launched him on Instagram, so I don't know how she found out we were talking, but of course. Okay, I'm running out of time. Oh my God, I hate this. I'm going to post the part 2 literally right after this.
I've been a dog walker on an app called, we'll call it Smag for today. And I've been on the app for 6 years now, and I've never had a bad experience where I've needed to call support for an emergency service, but something happened to me this last week. This pertains specifically to the San Francisco area. And what happens whenever you want to file a complaint with a client who you feel uncomfortable walking with anymore. So about 5 months ago, I started being a reoccurring walker for a person here in San Francisco living up the street who lives on the 9th floor in a very well-to-do apartment building. He had a golden retriever and a lab, and I walked them 2 times a day, every day of the week. He always knew what time I was going to be there. I was never late, so keep that in mind. The situation with this client started like little red flags. For example, he asked me to take a package to the post office for him, with payment, of course, and flash forward, the favors don't stop, and he's gotten my number. I'm a perpetual people pleaser, and I honestly thought that I would get in more trouble with Schmag than I would if I just obliged my client, so I obliged his occasional weird requests. That could have stemmed from brushing his dogs while I'm walking him, going to the grocery store for him, going to the post office for him, all off of Schmag's time. However, there was starting to become more red flags as the walks continued. He started to become really controlling. He blamed me on things going missing, like their collars and leashes, would text me out of the blue, circumstances where he would invite me in for a coffee, invite me in to blow dry my hair if it had been raining. He was always home, so I saw him every day. It took him probably about 3 months to get to this point, but one day I went for my regular 8 a.m. walk and he came to the door with no clothes on. Now, he was standing behind the door, as if that makes it really any better. And then that became a regular occurrence. It didn't happen every time, but it happened quite a few times. If you walk for Schmag, you don't really get to control what clients you do or don't want, especially once you have accepted, reoccurring walks. So if I were to have canceled on this person, I would have looked bad on my end. And there's also not a lot of success stories about Schmag support really helping you out if you need it. They definitely always favor the client. So with all of that knowledge, I didn't say anything. I just kept going and just turned a blind eye to feeling completely uncomfortable, and it just kept happening. Finally, I decided that I'd had enough. I wanted to get off of Schmag, and so I told this client that I would be going in a different direction and that I probably wouldn't be seeing him anymore. I understood that that could kind of come as a shock, but I was just over the anxiety of dealing with him every day. It was always something. He had no respect for my personal boundaries, always answered the door late. If it were raining, he would make me walk his dogs even longer. He just had some major control issues. So this is whenever he starts to throw the biggest man fit I've ever witnessed. I told him best of luck to him and his dogs, and I proceeded to cancel the rest of the walks. I felt pretty good. I'd blocked him on everything that I could think of, and Schmag also blocked them on their side. However, they were poking and prying, and they said, why do you want to cancel these walks? Reasons that I was giving weren't good enough, and so I just told them that the client kept coming to the door with no clothes on, and I wanted to get out of that situation. Shouldn't have done that. That opened up Pandora's box. Schmag proceeds to call my ex-client and tell them my side of the story, does not give a dang about my personal safety. Schmag even goes a step further and says that I don't have to make up stuff like this just to get out of seeing a client. After Schmag called this client, he turned even more hostile and started to reach out to me on every social platform he could find me on. He found me through one social media platform and sent me a message that said the following. Have fun staying a poor peasant. There is a reason I live on the 9th floor and you walk dogs. Trying to take me off the app and then lying to Schmag so that you don't get caught for your shady behavior is pathetic. What I wear or do behind a literal physical boundary, which I blocked your view on my property, is none of your business. I'm happy to enlighten you further on property laws. I don't think you've ever had to deal with them before since you're so trashy. I've been serving this client for 6 months. What kind of human psychology is that? I am trying to get off of Schmag, but I didn't want him to come with me, that's for sure. I was just simply letting him know that I wouldn't be seeing him anymore, and he took it like a crazy person breakup. It is absolutely wild to me, the stories that people can make up in their heads. In this man's head, I don't know what we were. We were friends. We were a relationship. He had me take his divorce papers to the post office. I don't know what was going on in this man's head. And obviously I have learned ample lessons from this experience. Although I am a people pleaser, I have numerous boundaries now of what I will and will not do, and I'm going off of Schmag because I don't want to work for a platform that doesn't believe victims and stuff like that. But anyway, all of this is to say is people are insane, and don't be like me and get out of situations that make you uncomfortable. Don't just stay for the money, because there's other jobs that you can do and get paid a lot more for a lot less for what I think he was getting a kick out of.